Hey guys, it's Lauren Yates from Rave It Up here, and today we're going to be having a chat over Zoom with actor Peter Onorati, who you may know playing Jack Mumford in the TV show SWAT. We of course talk about SWAT and the training for the show, as well as hear about where he would have loved to have seen his character go if he had stayed on the show. But then also we go back to his past and talk about his love for sports, particularly football, and whether he would have loved to have gone down that road as a career. We also talk about working in business with his business administration degree, before he got into his improv acting classes and found his love for acting. There is so much to cover today, so let's get into it now. Before we get into today's interview, we would like to give a shout out to our new Patreons, Irene and Bev. If you would like to support us too and receive free and behind the scenes stuff for as little as $4 a month, go check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Rave It Up. Your name could be up here too. Now, let's get into the interview. Peter, welcome to Rave It Up. It is a pleasure to have you on our show. How are you going today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's starting to cool down here in Los Angeles, so I'm doing fine.
Oh, well, we're really, really cold here. It's like getting to the end of winter, so I'm a bit jealous of the nice weather over there.
Well, you know what? LA is a tough place to live right now.
Yeah, well, I think anywhere in the world right now with COVID is a bit challenging.
Yeah. I just read something on my CNN website about the oceans really changing on the East Coast where I grew up, on the Atlantic Ocean, and there's some real, and it's going to be a real problem. It's going to change the weather.
Oh. Thank you for updating me. I hadn't read
that.
Yeah,
I know you didn't want to go there yet.
Yeah, let's start going into all world's problems.
Let's not go into climate change, yeah.
Yeah, well, we're back in lockdown here in Sydney, unfortunately, up until the end of the month, so...
Oh, wow. Yeah, we just had a mask mandate again, and the gyms are requiring it, so, which is fine with me, because I just don't want to work out in my cellar anymore.
Yes, well, we're exactly the same. I think everyone's sick of working out at home.
Yeah.
Well, it is great to have you on as well, because just last week or the week before, I had Kenny Johnson, your SWAT co-star, on.
Oh,
so
great.
It'd be good to kind of get your take on the show as well, a little later on in the interview.
Sure, that's fine. Kenny's a great guy.
He sure is, and he said I'd have so much fun with you too, so I can already see we're going to have a lot of fun. Since this is your first time on our show, though, I'd love to actually start from the beginning, if that's okay, to get a good idea of how you've made it to where you are today.
Sure.
I had a really good, nice read of your biography on your website and just had a jolly good time reading it. I was like, what hasn't this guy achieved? He's amazing. But in your early years, I did hear that, you got into trouble at a Catholic school up until your 5th grade. So why do you think that was? Were you just a bit of the class clown and you just wanted to be funny?
I think growing up short, like one of the smallest guys in the class, I had to develop my own personal social skills or sociology.
Yeah.
Part of that was being class clown, but this in particular was an incident that I found out years later that I was right about. And what it involved was, Boonton, New Jersey, where I grew up, is a beautiful small town outside New York City, about 20 miles on a hilltop. In fact, you can see the New York skyline from where my house was.
Oh, nice.
And in between there, of course, is Hoboken and Jersey City, and kind of citified city little places. And a nun had come to our Catholic school, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, from Hoboken. So she was used to kind of city kids, and she was Irish in a town that was mostly Italian and Polish, okay? So it was St. Patrick's Day, and she had us singing all these Irish songs, and I don't know who told me this at 11 years old or whatever it is that you are in 5th grade, but I knew that St. Patrick was Italian. He was Roman.
Oh.
So I raised my hand and I said, well, since we sang all these Irish songs, how about since St. Patrick was Italian, we sing some Italian songs? And she sent me up to the 225-pound principal who had smacked me up 2 flights of stairs a year before. And she told my parents that I stood on my desk and I threw my hands up in the air and I said, come on, let's sing some Italian songs. So my father, who had graduated from this same school, brought me into a meeting. And first thing that happened that was great, and one of the best things my mother ever did in my entire years of schooling, she called all the goody girls in class and she said, what happened? And she goes, well, Peter raised his hand. And, sister called on him and he said, well, since St. Patrick was Italian, let's sing some Italian songs. So they lied to my parents. We got in a big fight and boom. The next day, I walked literally down the hill 1 block to public school and got the crap beat out of me because I was a Catholic school kid.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
So I had to re-socialize.
A lot.
And yeah. A lot. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was the best thing. I really think that Catholic schools stunted my growth, both physically, emotionally. And so, I extended what I consider to be my class clown skills and tried to become an athlete, did my first push-ups and sit-ups and really tried to compete with the kids that I was about to get in a fight with all the time. There's a great story. At that time, my hometown, there was an influx of Southerners. There was not a lot of work in the Southeast. And so they came up to my town, which is a very industrial town. So, they were new, but they were cliquish as well. And there was one guy that used to beat me up every day on the side of Patsy's Delicatessen. His name was Craig. Okay?
Still remember his name.
Oh, I remember his full name. I'm not giving it for full disclosure, but I will give another name. So one day, walking home from school on the side of Patsy's Delicatessen, Italian deli, Craig gets me and he's starting to beat me up a little bit, and I slide down from where I was to the ground, and I didn't want to look up. He stopped hitting me, and I didn't want to look up because I thought I'd get hit in the face. And he just stopped. And all of a sudden I turned. And now you got to remember, I was in 5th grade. Craig was in 6th grade. And that's all that this particular school went to. We went to another school after. I turned and there's a pair of 6th grade spike heels, black stockings with a hole in them and a run going up to a leather skirt. And it was this woman, 6th grade woman, Liz Chazar, and she had Craig up against the wall by his high roll shirt. She said, don't you ever touch him again.
Wow.
And he never did. And I don't know if it's because he was afraid she'd beat him up or maybe she cut him off from sex. I don't know, in 6th grade. But that's the way things were. Who knows,
Women have the influence a little bit.
Yes, they do. They do. Oh, shoot. You kidding me? Women have all the influence.
There we go. We heard it from Peter ourselves.
So that was it. That's how I got to public school. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously it's exactly what you needed, and obviously getting into sports as well. You're a standout on the football field. Yeah. And you did also sign up to play in the World Football League, made it to the last cut, but unfortunately was sent home. Is that something else you wanted to do as a career, or were you a little bit afraid
that's all I wanted
an injury could end it all?
Well, that's all I wanted to do. In fact, I went to a great little school called Lycoming College in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. It was a Division III school because I knew that I would play and possibly stand out there. And Division III at the time, the smaller schools, they weren't allowed to give athletic scholarships. So you were there playing for the love of the game. You weren't there paid to play. Yeah. And there were some people actually from my division and my conference who went to the pros at the time. So I thought that would be the best. Instead of going to a big place, like I was thinking about University of Miami, I was thinking about some other places. Instead of trying to make those teams, I knew that I could make this one and excel. And I thought that'd be a greater path. And it turned out to be right in that I got a tryout at least. Yeah. I signed a free agent contract and then got cut. But yes, that's what I wanted to do. That's probably the only reason I went to college, was to play football. And I was supposed to wrestle. I was a high school wrestler, kind of a standout there too. But I used to lose weight every year. I used to lose 20 to 30 pounds between football and wrestling. And as a freshman, I played varsity football, so I didn't want to wrestle anymore. I didn't want to lose weight. And so that was what I really wanted to do. And then when I got cut, I ended up playing in semi-professional leagues around New York City and, traveling to Pennsylvania and New York State. And that was a mess. These teams it was a great team. It was called the Boonton Bears. And great team. We had great fun, but there was no insurance. And if you were doing well in a game, you'd end up in a pileup and you'd feel somebody twisting your ankle just to get you out of the game. And I sort of thought, yeah, this is not where I need to be.
Yeah, don't need to be scared and have to be always checking behind your back.
Yeah. So I went back for my MBA. And a few years later, received my MBA and I spent 12 years in the business world, mostly between two big companies. I jumped around in retailing. I sold menswear. I ran a menswear store, did a bunch of things like that. And I ran a disco, but most of the time I spent working for Ford Motor Company in their export division.
Yeah,
and then
reading about that.
After I got laid off from there, I went and I had done my master's thesis on a magazine that McCall's published. And so I presented my thesis and they hired me. It was McCall's Working Mother. So I was in charge of Working Mother and 3 other magazines as the marketing and research director. Wow. So all in all, I spent 12 years in the business world. And during the last 4 years, when I was at McCall's in the city, Park Avenue office, all that good stuff, I hooked up with this little improvisational comedy group. I had been done with my MBA. I felt like I needed some creative outlet. So these people were all great. I have them all on my wall up here and everything. None of them were actors. One was he was a Harvard economist for Prudential Base. Another woman was an art director of Fortune magazine. Another woman worked for the Rockefeller Foundation. Another guy who became my stand-up partner ran his father's ball bearing distributorship in Queens. Another guy was at Sloan Kettering in cancer research. So nobody had an agenda about being an actor. And it was a great group because we all kind of were pure improvisers. We had no agenda to stand out. We learned how to improvise. And I ended up sending to the guy who ran the group, who was at the time a stand-up comic and mostly a bartender. I ended up sending people from ad agencies to take his improv class, because improvisation, that's really my only training. I don't have really any acting training. But improvisation is one of the best trainings for life, because
Definitely.
You are taught to heighten and explore each moment in a positive direction. Whatever you're given, you take that and you make that better. And what could be better for advertising meetings and all this other stuff that, and the world of business, than to take what you're given and make it better,
Yeah, definitely. Is it true too that you started that improv class because you kind of dared your girlfriend at the time, or your girlfriend dared you, to do it?
Yes, my girlfriend.
Story.
Yeah, my girlfriend who worked at McCall's for Working Mother. She was the art director at the time. She was from my hometown in New Jersey. We've been dating for 3 or 4 years, and every other Friday night we would go to the stand-up clubs, and those are the times when Jerry Seinfeld was headlining, Joe Piscopo, all those guys in the early 80s were the headliners. So we'd be riding back on the bus at night to New Jersey, and I said, I think I could do that. And she got so sick and tired of hearing me say that she bought me a one-night stand class in comedy. And it happened to be that the guy who ended up starting the group was in that class, and he said to me, you should do this. I go, no, I'm not an actor. I'm not doing this. And so I didn't do it for a while. And then I decided, I really like to try it. And we ended up performing in all the pardon the expression, shitholes in New York City, little places, and having the best time. And then a woman came into the group from another group that had been disbanded. That was Jeanette Collins, and she ended up directing the group. And so I was still at McCall's, and one thing happened. I had some of my research published in Advertising Age, the trade publication, and I started getting calls from big packaged goods firms like P&G and Bronfman and everybody, and they wanted to steal me away because of my work. So I went into my boss. Now I worked with 15 women. 2 were my superiors and 13 were at my same level. I got more penis birthday cakes than you could ever imagine. Okay.
So, I didn't expect you to go there.
No, well, that's what they, and these days now that would constitute harassment, right? So I went into my boss and I said, people trying to steal me away. Maybe we can fix something on bonus, So she got mad at me and started to make my life miserable. And then I was dating Jeanette at the time. I had broken up with my previous girlfriend, or she broke up with me, as was the case in all my life before. And Jeanette said, well, I think you could be an actor. And at the time, she had 4 jobs in New York. I said, oh, so I could starve and have 4 jobs like you?
Yes.
So when I finally took the ice pack off my eye after she hit me,
I was about to say, what changed your mind? Oh, okay.
I walked into my boss's office and I said, you know what? I'm leaving you a 200-page research booklet that all you have to do is update. I'm going to leave. I'll be out of here Monday. And I left and I took a crash course in commercials because I felt as an improviser that I could sustain a character for 30 seconds. I had no acting training. And so within a week, I was on hold for my first commercial. Within 2 years, I was on the last season of Kate and Allie, my first big TV job, and was making money in commercials. And I got Goodfellas that same year,
It's great that you took that leap of faith. Like, I'm actually going to put 110% of my energy into this and see where it goes. And it seems like the women in your life knew the best for you.
Well, they always do. It's always a fight, but they always do. But it was a great leap of faith, but it wasn't as much a leap of faith as most actors have, because I had a great career I could have gone back to. I had money in the bank. I owned my house. I wasn't, I didn't have to take 4 jobs like Jeanette did at the time,
Yeah.
And the other thing that happened was another actress friend of mine, she said, my boss wants to meet you. This guy ran an independent marketing consulting firm. And he said, man, you have this expertise in the women's market that I really want. So I'll tell you what, and you're talking like 1986. He said, I will pay you to do this. You come in and meet with Procter & Gamble and Bronfman and all these, meet with their product managers, discuss new market niches they want to be in. And then you promise me another couple of hours at home, and you come in the next day with new product ideas to fit those niches, and I'll pay you $500 a day.
Nice.
In 1986.
Yeah.
So as an actor, I could work 4 days a month and pay all my expenses. So, I mean, it was 12 years before that gave me the ability to make that leap of faith, and it also the other thing that was interesting is that everybody who pursues acting from when they get out of high school or college or whatever, they have to take all kinds of jobs to support their career so that they can pay rent and do what I had jobs. And I existed with people in those jobs who were the exact people that I was about to play for the next 20 years. Professionals, lawyers, executives. I was that. So I didn't have to study anybody. I had already lived it,
Yeah. And do you think also with your business administration degree, do you think that's kind of helped with your acting now? Because, you're obviously doing your acting, but there's always that whole business side of things as well you've got to take care of.
Well, it did initially because, as I said, I thought, well, I'm not going to make any money as an actor, but except maybe in commercials. And I started making great money. I was making more money than I was as Park Avenue executive my first year, just in commercials, you know?
Wow.
And so I marketed myself in that niche. I didn't hold myself out as some actor studio actor, you know, which both Jeanette and I are in the actor studio now, but I was, you know, no method act. I just was who I was, and people were hiring me for that. And by the way, in 1986, you're going to laugh at this. You might not even know some of these people, well, except for that you're media savvy. But the stereotypes for commercials, when I first got in, that they were looking for were Bruce Willis, Bruce Springsteen, Tony Danza, and Billy Joel.
Yep, I know all those.
I got a piece of each, as they say, you know? And so that, you know, so the timing was right, you know? And so, you know, that was how everything started, you know? And I studied a little bit with some friends. Peter Flood and his wife, Lily Parker, at the time, were members of the Actors Studio. I think I studied with them for about a year, but I started working, so I had no more time to study. Yeah. Then we got married and moved out here while I was still doing Kate and Allie in New York, so I had to fly back.
Yes, I heard about that.
Yeah.
When you're expecting your first child, too.
Yep.
Oh, that would have been stressful. Did you get back in time?
I did get back in time.
Okay,
he
good.
was a little bit late, and but that was the whole thing about the callback for Scorsese. I think you heard that story. You know,
yes.
When Sonny, my oldest Sebastiano, we call him Sonny, was due that Monday, there was a callback. I had a 2:30 flight out of JFK on Friday, and I had a 12:30 callback for Scorsese in Rockefeller Center.
Yes,
so.
And you got it, so thank God it all panned out.
Yeah.
So you did mention, obviously, within the 2 years, you got Kate and Allie, but how long do you think you were doing, like, your improv classes for before even getting those gigs? Because they always say, you know, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success, and I love just sharing with the audience how much hard work is actually involved before you get that.
Well, I started doing improv. Let's see, I got my MBA in 1980. So I would say I started doing improv in 81 or 82. Was still at McCall's. I started at McCall's in 1980, and I left McCall's in 85. So I've been doing, you know, at least 4 years of improv, you know, just having fun with it. And, you know, and then, like I said, I left about 85 or 86 to become an actor.
Yeah,
and
so
we're still doing it. Yeah. But I wasn't doing it to be an actor. I was doing it because it was wonderful and creative and you know, and you know, and a great way to live, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Great. I love bringing you down memory lane.
Yeah, thanks.
And for those who don't know, throughout your career, you've been on huge shows. Like, just to name a few, you got This Is Us, 24, Desperate Housewives, The Mentalist, Cold Case, Las Vegas, Sex and the City, Big Bang Theory, Mum, like so many amazing shows. Love them all. How have you continued to land such huge shows? Obviously, your talent just really, really helps, and you're such an amazing actor. But do you think it also comes down to, say, like the agent that you have that tells you about these auditions?
I think, I think you can never really tell why. I think one of the things great that happened to me that made me a more known commodity to get hired for some of these things versus somebody else walking in the office is when I got here to Los Angeles, my mentor, may he rest in peace, Stephen Bochco, made a leading man out of me. I had 2 series for him, one with Mariel Hemingway, where I was the lead. So people saw me, I got exposure. And as soon as I left Bochco's employ, I went right away and did a short-lived sitcom. So people got to see that I could do both.
Yeah.
And I think I might have been on their radar because of that. And so I think the thing is, when my managers or my agents would call to submit me, they'd say either, "Oh yeah, I know him. He's not right for this," or, "Oh, I know him. Can he do comedy?" And my agent would say, "He started in comedy. He started in Kate and Al. He started in improv. He had his own, you know, sitcom, you know." So there was a discussion at a level there, I believe, that a lot of other people, their agents didn't have, and so that may have been part of it. And then when you work in this town and you get to know certain producers, like there are certain things that I still have, like a Big Bang Theory, I still had to audition for that, Mom, I didn't have to. Chuck Lorre, same producer, it was an offer. So some things are offers, and now with the way the business is, most things everybody has to audition for. I'm friends with Mike Farrell, historic, iconic actor, from MASH and all the other shows that he's done. And Mike and I became friends because we were on the board of Screen Actors Guild together a while back. And I was walking out of an audition a couple of years ago, and this one guy looked at me. He goes, "What are you doing here? What are you doing auditioning? You should have offers." I go, "Oh no, man, we're actors. This is what we do." And I said, "If you don't believe me, Mike Farrell had an audition for a CSI last week." I said, "And you can't get any bigger in television than Mike Farrell."
Yeah, they sure already know who that is.
Yeah, and of course, casting changes. People are younger now. They don't know my work and stuff. So you just got to, be comfortable with the fact that auditioning is part of the job, And when I coach people, I sometimes coach. I said, listen, there are basically three people that you go into an audition with. You go with you, the professional, right? The actor. You go in with you, the person who's been in the business for a while, right?
Yeah.
And you go in with the character that you're trying to play in the audition. Mm-hmm. I've gone into auditions and people will say, "Oh, I loved your work on this." I say, "Oh, okay." Hey, and then I go into another audition, a producer that I work with before say, "How are the kids? How are your boys?" And I'm like, yeah, I want to get to the third one. I don't want that other stuff. I want to get there to do what I did. But those are the things you have to prepare. You have to prepare to negotiate those three things in order to get there to do what you want to do. You
can't just go in and go, "Okay, I'm the character now. I'm already engaged in it. Like, don't talk to me. I just want to do it."
Yeah. That stuff doesn't play very often.
No. You gotta do it all, right?
Yeah, you have to market yourself.
Yeah, gotta have many faces, as they would say.
Right, exactly.
So we're starting off in comedy, and there's been a lot of things you've been in lately that are more like drama. I think the big question is, what do you prefer? Is comedy still the first love?
That's a hard one. If I was, I have to frame it like this. As a regular on a drama versus a regular on a sitcom, I prefer drama.
Ah, interesting.
Because when you're the lead on a sitcom, and you watch this, even look back at Seinfeld, the iconic show. When you're a lead, you don't get the laughs. The laughs are everybody around you. You lay track all the time. And when you're doing a sitcom, they change the script the night before you go in front of an audience. Now you get changes in a drama, but you're not on every day, and it all doesn't come down to one thing. And I like the idea that there's a character. I have more time to create a character history and make it personal in a drama.
Yeah.
In a sitcom, you are at the mercy of the writers. Their vision is what's important because it's so quick to get to the laughs. It's set up, punchline, set up, punchline. I'll give you an example. I had my sitcom, Joe's Life, right? And they wrote me this really funny scene where I take my daughter to the gynecologist for the first time. I sit down next to this woman. She screams. I think it's me. I get up and I move, right? Then I pick up this pamphlet on the uterus. And I'm looking at it and I'm talking to this woman next to me. I go, geez, no matter how you look at it, it looks like it's staring you in the face, right? Put that down, right? I move. I go sit down next to this woman. Her name was Claire Berger. She was actually the warm-up person, but she was a little heavier. And I say, so what do you do? She goes, I'm not pregnant. Ha ha ha, fat joke, right? Well, now, this was a sitcom about an Italian guy in New Jersey. And it was written by mostly Jewish guys. The guy that ran the show, and each ethnic background has its own song to it. you know, whether you're doing a drama or whether you're doing specifically when you're doing a comedy, right? So the whole week I go, blah, 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 blah. I sit down. So when do you do? And I'm not pregnant, right? So we get in front of the audience and I do it that way, right? So the showrunner comes over and goes, can we do just one more? And I call my friend over who's playing my brother, George Cicenzo. Again, rest in peace. And I said, George, watch this. Sit down. The woman screams. I sit down. The uterus pamphlet. I sit down. I go, so when do you do? And that's the one they printed. Because that is a Judeo-American rhythm for that joke. You know?
That's really good.
And it's really, and that's, you know, I did the same thing. I had a problem with Rob Reiner. I did a pilot for Rob Reiner. And I won't tell you the whole story, but it wasn't in front of it was a comedy, but it wasn't in front of an audience. So the director cuts after this one scene and he walks over to Rob and Rob's going, so much for the other, so much. Yeah. So the director comes back over and I go, so much for the other half of the glass, right? He goes, oh, you heard what he was saying? I said, yes, you just tell them if they want the Italo-American or the Judeo-American reading to tell me what they want and I'll give it to them, you know? But so comedy is hard. So is
like
drama.
A specific way you say it.
Yeah. Because the vision, you know, I think drama is a little more collaborative because if you're a regular on a drama series like I was for Bochco, they start out a certain way, but the brilliance of Stephen Bochco and all his writers, Billy Finkelstein, who basically wrote all my characters, is that they hear what you can do and they start to write to your strengths.
Yeah.
So you have their brilliance under the umbrella of your strengths, you know? And it was the same thing, you know, sort of with SWAT in the beginning, you know? My character was the old man, you know? And that's the first time I ever played the old man. It was great, you know, except for that I went off after the first season. I wish I'd stayed on a couple more seasons.
Hey, but strong old man, that's a great character.
There you go. That's good.
Not the fragile old man.
No, but that doesn't get me the house in Italy. So, so yeah. I mean, you know, Sean Ryan and Aaron Rashawn Thomas, they have great ears. They wrote for cable. They, you know, so they knew, you know, they knew what I needed. They knew what I could do that would help their script and what I could give to Shamar by giving Shamar crap all the time, how that would work, you know? And so that's a great thing about working with great writers, you know? And again, on sitcoms, there's not that collaboration because they see the jokes, they have the rhythms in their heads, you know? Drama can be hard when you're doing like Boston Legal or my show, Civil Wars, when you have to do a summation in court that's 2 pages, you know? But if you make it personal and you're in character, it's so wonderful. These things go through you. They just flow through you. One time, Mike Robin, who was a great show creator, was on Bochco shows, but became a great producer. I did this one scene. He goes, man, where did you go? I go, I don't know. I said, was it all right? He goes, oh no, it was great. He goes, where did you go? I go, I don't remember, you know? And and that's what's beautiful. That's what's beautiful about being an actor. And for me, I guess, I hate this, I don't need to say this in any sort of an egotistical way, but I think it's something I was meant to be because I'm a storyteller. Whenever I'm in a group of people, my old friends, I just went back to a college reunion. I hold on. I say things to my friends. They go, oh my God, you remember that? How the hell do you remember these things? I said to my old girlfriend, hey, this happened the other day. And I thought, she goes, how does your brain work? I said, but the idea for me is that I have a catalog in my soul and in my mind of all the successes and defeats and all the greatest joy and all the deepest hurts. And they're all in there still. And I guess this was the only place that they could be allowed to come out, you know?
And I can just see you're so passionate about it too. So that is definitely how I know you're supposed to do this for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's great that you did find it. You know, a lot of people go through their whole life without finding what they love to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's true. And you know, and it was like all basically on a dare, you know?
Yeah, exactly. The
So,
great
you know,
women in your life you found. Well, I think we should talk about SWAT a little bit more too. It is one of my all-time favorite shows, by the way.
Oh, great.
You did so amazing as Jack Mumford. I really want to know, because there's been, you already...
Oh, by the way, let me correct you. It's that they put out it's Jack Mumford. And the only reason I want to make sure is while I was doing SWAT, they originally named the character Jeff, but it hadn't been spoken. Yeah. And my father-in-law, Jack Collins, passed away. And I went to Sean and I said, hey, listen, Mumford's a bad enough name. Yeah. Jeff Mumford is really lame. Can I have Jack or Butch or something? Yeah. So they gave me Jack, and I dedicated the character to my father-in-law. So that's why I know, and I don't mean to do that. I just wanted to know.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Jack Mumford, you know?
Hey, if you didn't butt in, I would never have heard that story. So that's really nice.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, thank you very much for sharing that. But there's so much training for that show, as I've heard a little bit from Kenny Johnson, and he puts up, you know, little videos on his Instagram of what they have to go through. Was that something you were immediately good at, or was that one of the most difficult parts of the job for you?
For me, it was wonderful. Most
fun you can have as an actor without being a cop, right?
No, man, I was like, they called me and they said, you have to show up for training. I go, really? Training? I said, what do I wear? You know? and you know, our technical guy, Odie Gallup, we became friends because he was part of Mumford's team. Whenever you saw Mumford's team, Odie was there. He's still on the show. And Odie was great at training us, and you know, the other SWAT guy, I've forgotten his name, great guy. And it was great. It was, you know, when you learn something like that, it's just amazing, you know, to be able to come in and sweep a room and it is training. It's training physically, because the postures that you use, the way you approach a room, the slowness, it's like doing yoga or a workout. It's really, when we trained, it was 100 degrees when we were training out in Santa Clarita Valley those first couple of weeks. And it was great. Oh, man, I loved it. And I loved knowing that, because I come from cops. My uncle was the chief of police in my hometown, and I have, you know, cousins and everybody that were detectives, you know, they were all, you know. Wow. So I come from
you didn't go down that path.
Well, there you go. The only reason my uncle became a cop was because my father told him to. My father was you know, and my uncle went in and became a patrolman, and then moved up to detective and ended up becoming chief, you know. So so it was, you know, it was the right thing.
Your blood anyway.
Yeah, it is. Wow. So, you know, and that's what I play. But the training was amazing, and not just the physical part of it, but to understand the tactical part of it, and how a team moves in a stick, you know, or, you know, and you know, give me a 2, always, you know, always somebody behind you, and to the point where I know Kenny does this, and I did it all the time, and a lot of directors got pissed off at me. But if they wanted me to do a certain move, I would call Odie over and I'd say, is this okay? You know?
And he would go, well, to be realistic.
Yes. And we want to pay tribute. That's why we train so hard. We want to pay tribute to these SWAT officers, and how hard the job really is, you know, and how technique and tactics are 80% of the job, you know?
Absolutely.
And so it was great. And by the way, I actually wasn't supposed to play Mumford. I was in New York doing something, and I had auditioned for Buck.
Interesting. I can't see you as Buck now.
And my good friend Louis Ferrer got Buck, and I was in New York, and my agents and managers called me and said, listen, I hadn't read the script. I had just read the scenes for Buck when I went in. And I figured I didn't get it, so I took off a week later. So I'm in New York, and they called and they said, hey, can you get someplace to tape these scenes for Mumford? And I said, no. I said, it's 5:00 in the afternoon. My agency's closed almost, and I've decided I wouldn't want to test with only an hour's preparation for something. Yeah. So I can try and do something tomorrow. And they go, no. Wait a minute, we'll call you back. So they called me back and they said, okay, look, they're going to use the tapes of your audition for Buck to test against these other guys who are testing for Mumford. I said, okay, tell them I said thanks, I had no idea. 2 hours later, they called me and they said, okay, you got the job. You have to be back tomorrow. I went, I didn't even go back to New Jersey to see my parents. I went right to Kennedy Airport and flew home to do the reading of the script the next day. So wow. Mumford was a great blessing all the way around, It
sounds like very stressful though. Got to be there tomorrow.
Yeah. And you know what? I could have said like some actors would have said, oh, no. I'll fly back on Monday. I'm not going to make it to the reading. But they went out of their way to test, my tapes which were a completely different character, against people who were testing for the character. So I felt I owed him that, I felt that it was, the best that I could do.
Dedication. Good job, Peter.
Yeah.
And where would you have liked to have seen your character go? Is there something else that you would have liked to have seen him do, or?
Well, in speaking with
longer, but
and speaking with Odie, he said that the original reason they hired my character was because these teams give each other crap all the time. Mm. They're always on each other's, and me being old and by the book, and Shamar being new and young and outside the norms, was fertile ground to continue. And Odie said, "Oh man, you would be busting his chops about having a girl on his team," and they did that one episode with Lena and I, which Lena and Stephanie and I are pretty close. They're the people I'm closest to, except for Alex Russell, your countryman. Alex was just over here over spring for dinner with his girlfriend Diana, and
nice.
So I would like to have seen that play continue, because if you think about it, and I don't mean this because I want the job, I do want the job, but there is nobody in that cast now with the gravitas that Mumford had that could challenge Hondo. He has to take orders from Hicks. He had to take orders from Stephanie's character. Everybody else is below him. There's, and it gives Shamar another color to have to deal with that. So that's, if it were to continue, I would like for it to have continued in the same way, and to really use that gravitas that Mumford has accumulated in his career to keep poking at Hondo to say, we don't do things that way, man. And, and Hondo to point out, well, the way you do things isn't working, or, so I'm going to do it this way.
That could be comedy too.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like the last thing he says to me, take care, old man. And I turn around and I walk out. I go, oh man, that's the kind of stuff you don't have now,
So you've been watching it since you left?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. And then they gave me that great episode to come back with Hicks and I following up a cold case and stuff.
I loved that one.
But SWAT is, and Shamar says this all the time, it's his dream job. SWAT is a dream job. It's like anybody who wanted to be an actor, or when they were a kid, any boy that I knew wanted to be a cop or a cowboy, or a professional football player. Yeah.
What a dream come true.
Yeah. So
who do you think out of the cast could easily be a real SWAT officer?
I think Kenny is probably the closest, because Kenny is raw. He's raw talent, raw emotion, raw. I think Kenny would probably be, and he's probably, he's a world champion arm wrestler.
Yeah.
And he has some good fighting training and stuff. I think Kenny has the skill set that's closest to a real SWAT guy.
Yeah.
I think Alex could do it because Alex is a hard worker and he trains, and even, you know what, so if we're going to go like first, second, third, I think that David Lynn could do it too. I think Shamar could do everything. That's, Shamar he trains hard. Shamar is a given, but I think a real SWAT officer, Kenny probably is the closest.
Yeah, it's funny. Kenny had the exact same answer. He's like, well, me, but he's like, if I had to choose someone other than me, it'd probably be Shamar. Yeah. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, I think so.
If anybody hasn't watched that show yet, please go do so. It's an incredible show.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, you have mentioned as well, just previously, your wife is in the industry as well. She's an actor and a writer, and even wrote an episode of Will and Grace in 2001. I love that show. Didn't know that until I did my research. Yeah. Do you think it helps having someone, that you're obviously in a relationship with that understands and knows the industry really, really well, and you can practice and memorize scripts together?
Well, I think it really does help. We don't do any work together. We wrote one thing together and that was it. She has a partner. Jeanette has a partner, Mimi Friedman, that she met in her first improv group in New York. So she's known Mimi longer than she's known me. And they have been on all those shows. They were on Big Love. They were on, they haven't done any acting, but mostly writing, producing for the last 30 years. So I think the greatest thing about being an actor and living with a producer is that I get to tell her when she's being a producer jerk, and she gets me to tell me when I'm being an actor jerk. So you have both lenses, of the business in one household, and it's very valuable, because there are some times when it's like there's a business decision that I need to make, and maybe my ego gets in the way, or maybe it really is that this producer is a real asshole, and Jeanette will say, oh no, that guy's a real jerk, tell him to take a hike, or, oh no, you're being a jerk here. Just take the job and blah, 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 and so it's great to have those two perspectives for sure. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. I just wanted to ask that quickly. Hopefully, maybe we can have Jeanette on the show one day. It would be great to talk to her about her career too.
Great. She'd be great. Yeah. Yeah, she's working on something right now. Her and Mimi are in development for something for NBC International. That if it goes, they may end up going to London to film it. It's a Victorian novel. So I won't give you the title or anything till we see how far it goes.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not allowed to tell me, but
but they've been doing well for a long time.
Well, keep us updated. Be great to hear about it.
Yeah.
And even though you've already achieved so much in your career, Peter, what else can we expect from you in the future? Have you got some more stuff lined up we don't know about?
I don't have anything lined up in terms of acting.
Just enjoying some time off, finally.
Well, maybe, I'll go to work if they want me. I wrote a play that I presented to the Actors Studio, and they admitted me to the Playwright Directors Unit based on that work. So I would like to get that play produced. I hesitate to say this because, there was an old joke in the 50s that everybody pumping gas out here in Hollywood was an actor. Well, that joke has evolved to every actor has a script. But
yeah, that's true.
I have written a couple of scripts that I have pitched with some big guns, people who were executive producers of 24 and so on. So I might keep pitching. If big people like that come on board with my projects, I will keep pitching. I'm not going to go in by myself anymore because I used to, and people, because they knew me as an actor, would let me in the door and they would love my idea, but it basically had no juice behind me. Now, if I go in with a big producer director and a big showrunner producer, it's a bigger deal, you know.
Yeah.
So I may still do that, you know. I'd love to create a show. And actually I did sell a show in 2003, but the whole project just went away, and it was based on one of my best friends who's in the hospital right now. He had a stroke, but he was the first Black investigator in the Georgia Bureau of Investigations back in the 70s and 80s, and has the most bittersweet and bizarre life you could ever imagine, you know. So that project is still on the burner. My play, which is about what we do, how we adhere to traditions and family, habits without ever asking questions, you know. And it talks about religion, it talks about, cooking, it talks about, it's really funny. It's a brother and sister. The sister comes back to the household in New Jersey, where the brother is living, but it was the father's house, and the brother is living in the cellar, which many Italians do, you know. And the father has just died. So it's called Under Construction, and the subtitle is A Play in Seven Sacraments, because each scene on the upstage center wall, there's a rear projection, and each scene is preceded by the catechism definition of a particular sacrament. And so the scene either directly or metaphorically connects with the idea of that sacrament. So
awesome. Oh,
yeah,
I could see that.
All right. Well,
it's going to be in America.
You know what? Send me your email. I'll send you the play anyway, so you can read it sometime when you have.
Oh yes,
when you're at the
please.
beach. Okay.
Fantastic. Hey, I'm in lockdown right now. I'll read it.
Okay.
Got nothing else to do except interviews right now, so.
Oh, perfect.
Please do. That'd be awesome. We'll exchange emails at the end.
Okay, great.
Now, I think we should. I kind of want to see how good your competitive side is now, Peter. What do you think about playing a game and seeing if you can beat Kenny?
Well, I don't know if I can beat Kenny, but I'll play.
Well, I know you want to get to your happy hour drink, so it's
That's
only
fine,
a quick 2-minute game, and it's called the 2-minute hot seat. It's quite legendary here on Rave It Up.
Okay.
And what it is I ask you various questions, and you just have to pick your preference. So it's like dogs or cats, singing or dancing.
Okay.
And you have to answer as many questions in 2 minutes as possible.
Oh, baby. Okay.
Yeah, and then when we finish, we'll see where you sit on the leaderboard up against everyone else.
Okay.
So I'll give you a bit of an idea. Kenny answered 46 questions.
Wow.
So we can, try to beat him.
That's
was
raw.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He actually already thinks you will beat him because he's like, oh, Peter, he's fast. He might beat me.
Yeah.
He's a smart man.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Are you all ready?
Sure.
The tenseness, I could feel it.
I need a drink.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook.
iPhone or Samsung?
I'm sorry.
iPhone or
iPhone.
Samsung? Apple or Android?
Android.
Rap or rock music?
Rock.
Rock or pop?
Pop.
Pop or country?
Pop.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Beach or pool?
Beach.
Sun or rain?
Rain.
Skiing or snowboarding?
Skiing.
Comedy or action?
I'm sorry?
Comedy or action?
Action.
Blondes or brunettes?
Oh, blondes.
Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Sunglasses or hat?
Sunglasses.
SUV or convertible?
Convertible.
Mac or PC?
PC.
PlayStation or Wii?
PlayStation.
Clean or messy?
Clean.
Singing or dancing?
Singing.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Italian or Chinese food?
Italian.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Kim Kardashian or Scarlett Johansson?
Scarlett Johansson.
Johnny Depp or Will Smith?
Johnny Depp.
Mall or online shopping?
What? Mall or online? Online.
Cinema or home movie?
Cinema.
Ice cream or gelato?
Gelato.
Cake or cookies?
Cookies.
Cookies or cookie dough?
Cookies.
Family or friends?
Family.
Football or soccer?
Football.
Night or day?
Night.
Christmas or your birthday?
Christmas.
Straight or curly hair?
Straight.
Eye color blue or brown?
Blue.
Vampire or werewolf?
A werewolf.
Texting or calling?
Calling.
Los Angeles or New York?
New York.
Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
TV or movies?
Movies.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Snow or surf?
Snow or what?
Snow or surf?
Surf.
Harry Potter or Twilight?
Harry Potter.
Family Guy or The Simpsons?
Simpsons.
McDonald's or Burger King?
Burger King.
French fries or chips?
French fries.
Burger or hot dog?
Burger.
And we're out of time. Wow. I gave you and Kenny both 2 minutes 15 just because it's over Zoom. There's a little bit of delay, I always notice. But
yeah.
How many questions do you think you answered in that time, Peter?
30.
Oh, do you think you beat Kenny? I think it's the big
No, I don't think so.
Well, you have answered. So Kenny answered 46.
Yeah.
You have answered 47. You beat him by one. I'm like so amazed. I'm like, how is that possible? Like, look at that. Usually when someone beats them, it's like way in advance or something.
Jeez.
So 47 questions puts you number 40 on the Rave It Up leaderboard. One
All right,
notch
cool.
above Kenny. There you go.
All right,
Rub
good.
that in his face forever now. That was lots of fun. It's a great way for fans to get to know you really better as well.
Sure.
We are getting to the end of the interview, unfortunately, now, Peter, but as a closing statement, and it was probably the most important question, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 14-year-old self?
It's going to be okay.
Nice and simple. I love it. I think it's good for all the young listeners too.
It's going to be okay. It'll all work out.
We all stress way too much at that age, don't we?
Yes.
Like, just calm down.
Yeah, it'll all work out. Yeah.
And if our audience want to contact you or find out what you're up to in the future, where should they go? Where should we go follow you?
I have Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
Look at that. You're all up to date with it.
Well, when I got the job on SWAT, that's what CBS said. Do you have Facebook and Twitter and Instagram? I go, they don't have Instagram. They go, get it. And, you got to do it.
But I'll get it. I will learn.
I'm not too good at it, but it's okay.
It's a small sacrifice for the job, though.
Yeah, exactly.
And thank you so much for coming on our show today. I really appreciate your time, Peter. I know I'm cutting into the drinking time now, but...
No, that's okay. Don't worry about that. As long as I get those martinis in there half hour before people arrive, that's fine. I can stick them in the freezer,
Exactly.
So,
and
it's
I
been
didn't
wonderful.
want to stop you. You were just giving me gold. That's why I was like, oh, just so good.
Well, we'll do it again. We can do it again. There's plenty of other stuff,
Definitely. There's so many other things in your career that I want to cover as well, but I was like, I'll just stick to the important ones for now.
All right. Well, no, you're very sweet, and it's been really wonderful, and I appreciate the interest.
Oh, thank you. And you're very, very welcome. Mumford was one of my fave characters at the beginning, and I'm like, oh, why did he go?
Well, tell everybody to tell CBS. Maybe we'll see what happens.
We request him back. But this is even better. I get actual Peter.
There you go.
Nothing better than that.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever want to come back on the show in the future, you let me know. If you ever come to Australia, which you haven't yet,
I'd love to.
Let me know.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Meet face to face when
that'd be
COVID's all
perfect.
cleared up a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll wait a little while.
Yeah. Have a trip over here. Have a bit of a holiday. I'll show you some nice places.
Good. I'll come and visit Alex, and when he's down there, and we'll all go. We'll go out and have a martini.
Yes, sounds perfect. There's the plan. Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's interview. If you'd like to check out any of our other interviews, visit our website, raveituptv.com. And remember, our podcast is on all podcasting platforms now. Just type in Rave It Up into Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all of them. And please tell your friends as well. And if you haven't gotten a copy of our book, Knowing What I Know Now yet, please do so. It's available as paperback, ebook, and the audiobook version is coming very soon. It's all on our website, raveituptv.com. If you don't know, it's filled with 70 quotes of what our guests would tell their 14-year-old selves now. And with COVID going on at the moment, I know a lot of us are struggling with our mental health. And this could actually really help because it's just filled with so much amazing advice and wisdom. But for now, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.